Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Former President William McKinley said these words, quote, "The great essential to our happiness and prosperity is that we adhere to the principles upon which the government was established and insist upon their faithful observance." Amen. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America on a Monday, January the 29th. Good morning. And a good morning to you. Zeb at the Ranch on this last Monday of January. And, of course, Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, our major sponsor. And I'll tell you what, they've got everything for safe wintertime driving right there. The tires, great brake service, everything. Stop in and see them today. Along with some of our absolutely great advertisers, including Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with Nick and the crew at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our patriot, a great patriot, with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, thank you for that intro.
You're welcome, great patriot.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, man, thank you very much, and call back in a little bit. I've got plenty of fodder for you. So
I know you do.
I do. Go ahead. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All righty, let's go to the weather forecast real quick. And the weather is brought to you by K&R Rental. Hello, Roger. They got the old radio going over there. 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Number to call, 678-3122. Right there on the Burley Paul Highway with the rental of all the best tools and equipment in the world. I'll tell you all the top name brands to get the various jobs done correctly. Absolutely. You give them a call or stop in. K&R Rental in Hayburn, 678-3122. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
As we kick off this work week, looks like Mother Nature is going to be kind for us, at least for the next couple of days, as we have this high-pressure system that's going to be sticking around, bumping up the temperatures just a little bit. For today, partly sunny skies, a little on the breezy side, winds out of the east, right around 10 miles an hour, just possible as high as 20 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 48. Tonight, more clouds are going to roll in with a low of 32. For tomorrow, partly sunny skies, high of 49, mostly cloudy and 31 for Tuesday night. Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high of 42. And for Thursday, mostly sunny skies and 41. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Hey, I tell you what, that doesn't sound too bad. A really nice January. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Right there. Real easy to find on the Burley Paul Highway. Number to call, Roger and the crew at 678-3122. Oh, my goodness, what a great weekend. I want to remind you about something coming up, and we're going to have some of the principal players that are going to be speaking there at the 4th Annual Soil Health Workshop, sponsored by the soil districts in the Mini-Cache area, is going to be held on February 8th. The workshop will include soil health training and provide free pesticide credits, and the workshop is part of the educational goals of the Direct Seed and Cover Crop Project that Minidoka, West Cassia, and East Cassia Soil and water conservations have been implementing. Thank you. And also want to say that we're going to have, I think, Joel Packham on the air this week, and then next week, a gentleman that's going to be speaking there, Jay Fuhrer. So lots of good things going on. Don't forget, to our friends at Daryl's Cleaners. Hello, Kevin and Cindy and the whole crew. Absolutely, at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. The other day we stopped in there and picked up some of the clothes that I'd left that were all the rumply crumplies. And my wife said, "Hey, I don't remember you having a shirt like this." And I said, "Yes, dear, it's mine." Well, it came back looking brand spanking new. That's what happens. You take in the old rumply crumplies and dirty and soiled and stained. Holy mokes, they work their magic, and they come back, like I said, looking brand spanking new. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. What a great weekend. I mean, we sat outside yesterday on the old bench in front of the barn and just soaked up that sunshine. Whoo, I tell you, it felt good. Talk about getting spring fever. I know. I'm one of the first that's going to say, look out, we're going to get slapped in the face. But it was sure pleasant yesterday. By the way, all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs you can obtain at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Open at 7:30 in the morning till 5, Monday through Friday. And it's no brag, it's a fact. Ramsey Heating and Electric, they've been in business for almost 60 years. Almost 60 years of serving you with all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. Absolutely. 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Oh my, have we got a lot of notes to go through this morning. Why are blacks that are in the power of leadership for their race, why are they so bent on creating race problems worse than ever here in the United States? Now, I asked you folks this question a couple of weeks ago. Why are they doing all they can to basically take a sledgehammer and destroy all the good that has been done and all the camaraderie and the fellowship that's been done, and just destroy it? Black New York City Congresswoman stood on the street corner this past weekend. Hold on, caller, I'll be right there. And this past weekend was the observance of the Holocaust. And she compared ICE agents to the Gestapo. How low class can she and they be? And then Representative Maxine Waters of California and other blacks boycotting the State of the Union message tomorrow night. And she, Maxine Waters, one of the most despicable women I've ever listened to, she's going to have her own version of the State of the Union on BET, the Black Entertainment Channel. Oh, my. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. I watched about 5 minutes of the Grammys last night, and that was a direct call for revolution, insurgency, rioting in our streets. This summer could really be a pistol for us.
I agree with you, and I would not watch the Grammys. I did not want anything to do with it. I wouldn't waste my time watching what they term themselves artists. I call them some of the most slovenly people that have ever been involved in any kind of entertainment whatsoever. I have no use for these people. I thought it was nothing more than vile hatred and divisiveness, and I will not support anything to do with them.
Well, I think this was backed up by Hillary's Hollywood bunch with all that money they've got. And when I saw those people, I watched it for about 5 minutes. That's about all I could handle. And that's the first thing that came to my mind is revolution in this country. Yeah. Tear it down so it'll never be the same again.
Yeah. Horrible Hillary. And for anybody out there that's a Hillary lover, I feel complete pity for you, because she was on there last night with a videotape of showing her reading the book Fire and Fury and saying how bad Donald Trump was, etc. And then, of course, that so-called rap artist, put a C in front of rap, Jay-Z, really throwing dirt at the president. The whole show was pathetic. And by the way, this Jay-Z, I don't know if you're familiar with him or not, Tony, but he's one of the rap, put a C in front of the word, artists, if you will, that always uses the N-word in every one of his so-called musical songs. Now, if a white person did that, they'd probably be hauled off and burned at the stake.
Well, people, a lot of these black people are still blaming the white people for something that happened over 200 years ago. You know, when did this kind of hatred stop?
Well, I was thinking, honestly, after the 60s and Selma, Alabama, etc., I was hoping that we were on an uphill climb to being and getting along. And up until Obama's taking over the White House back in 2008, then everything started being flushed down the toilet.
Well, we better keep our guard up, because things are only going to get worse from here on in.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And I think we've got to do everything we can to call attention to it, call it what it is. It's reverse racism, more so today with the blacks, etc., against us, the Caucasians, and basically the Constitution of the United States.
Once we lose the country, there's no getting it back.
You've got that right, my friend. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Zach.
God bless you, Tony. Thank you very much. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let's be real definitive here. I know and am friends with a lot of people that are, listen carefully to the word out there, Negroes. Yes, I am. And I'm very proud to have their friendship. But you will also admit that they absolutely are looking at their own race very critically right now, and they are condemning the likes of Jay-Z. They are condemning the likes of Maxine Waters. They are condemning the likes of John Lewis. They are condemning others that are absolutely tearing them down and making things worse for them in this country. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. You kind of just turn on the radio and caught what you're talking about, and you hear a lot of people complain about how our president is the worst president of all time, current president, and how Obama was a shining star. Well, my wife and I have done something we've been trying to do for a very, very, very long time, and we start our own business. We sure as heck wasn't going to happen under Obama with all the restrictions that were involved. But now we're not big. We're up and moving, and we're getting going and everything else. And it's kind of a shining star of hope to see that we have somebody in administration who wants to help people grow instead of try to give our money away. And it gets me, people complain about being held back and everything. Why don't you just get off the couch and go out and try to better yourself and do something for your own future?
Amen.
Pay for it.
Amen. You know, Riley, I appreciate your entrepreneurship in trying to get a business started, and I wish you a lot of luck and success, and I certainly wish all people had that kind of an attitude, to get up, do something. Whether you succeed or fail, at least you tried, and that's the main thing.
Exactly. You can't win the lottery if you don't scratch the ticket. Oh, and there's a better chance of winning at this than at the lottery.
I agree with that.
But you know, I mean, you can sit and complain that government's not helping me, or so-and-so didn't give me this, and I'm being held back because of my color, or whatever else may you have. It all comes down to personal responsibility. Do you or do you not want to succeed?
There you go.
Want. But if you don't put your boots on and get up in the morning and work from dawn to dusk and then sometimes to achieve what you want, you'll never get it.
I have nothing more to add to that other than another very loud, resounding amen. Riley, good luck to you, my friend. Thank you for your call.
Thank you. Zeb.
God bless you, man. Thanks. That's great. Hey, we had Lunch Bunch last week, and a great lunch bunch, and always look forward to seeing our friends. Deanne absolutely loves Lunch Bunch. She spends a lot of time going around the room saying howdy to everybody, and we really appreciate them. At Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland and Burley, and then also at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls, America's Diner. Thomas comes around and says hello to everybody, and we've got some great, great waitresses in there, people that really serve you with a smile, and what a menu. Oh, the menu choices are phenomenal, and you're going to love it. I had some strawberry cream pancakes. Oh, yeah, I know they're not on my diet, but they were delicious. All the food is great at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, 611 North Overland and Burley. You stop in and see them today. Also want to remind you about our dear, dear friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Hello, Nick and the crew. Good, good people. And don't forget, they know all the exercises. They know everything. Like if you've had an accident or a surgery or something and you're just really kind of feeling pearly and stiff, well, they can take that poorly attitude and they can start making you feel more like you. Absolutely. With, like I said, all the physical therapy and all the great physical therapists and the hydrotherapy pool. Oh, my goodness. Call them today for an appointment at 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation in Burley. Really good people. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Yeah, the vile hatred that is stirring the pot of divide in this country is with the Maxine Waters. It is with the John Lewises. It is in the entertainment industry. It is in the National Football League, the NFL, and I've had it with them. I did not watch the Pro Bowl yesterday purely because of my hatred for these athletes that are overpaid and underworked, and many of which had taken a knee or sat during our national anthem during the course of the regular season. Won't support them. Won't watch it. And if you don't believe me, I can verify that. My wife and I just absolutely said we're not going to be supportive of this. There's other things better to do with our time. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear? I tell you, this just really puts some frosting on the cake. Did you hear about this high school history teacher? And he is also, by the way, a city councilman in California, which explains a lot of the problem right there in California. He stood up in front of his class and denounced our military. I'm going to talk to you more about that in just a moment. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hey, my friends at Dino Septic Service in Rupert. Oh, my goodness sakes, doing the job that you and I don't want to do. I don't want to stand out there in the cold and pump out a septic tank. I don't want to stand out there or be out there and install septic tanks and drain fields and sewer and sink drain lines cleaned and liquid waste removal. Not me, no, but they do it, and they do it with a smile on their face. Fast, fair, friendly service. They are really, really good at what they do. I urge you to give them a call at 436-6526, Dino Septic Service, and I'm telling you they will be there with that great big truck called Smells Cargo on the way. They're the best. Like I said, Dino Septic Service, also with a telephone number in Burley, 678-1638. You give them a call today. Really good people. And, oh, by the way, too, let's not forget when we're talking about really good people, I'm addressing this right now to all of our seniors in the audience. If you are living at home alone, please, and I underline the word please, be careful. You know, living at home, you're lonely, and you don't want to take any chances, safety hazards and injuries, and there you are by yourself. And poor nutrition, a good meal is not a Pop-Tart. And, of course, missing medication, don't do that. Please call Pomerel. L Place, a place for senior living, and they're located at 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. They offer the ability for seniors to maintain their independence both safely and comfortably. Call them today, 677-8212. Palmer L Place, 677-8212. I could not believe this when I heard this story. High school teacher in California was upset at one of the students that walked into his classroom wearing a United States Marine Corps t-shirt. And he went off about our military, and he stood up in front of the class and denounced our military as, quote, the lowest of the low. Wow. He went into a diatribe about how awful and low-classed and uneducated our men and women in the service are. You know, it is a really good thing that that teacher's not here in this area and not teaching in this area. I would do everything I could, and I mean this, to go after him and the school board to ride him or her out of town on a rail. How dare, and by the way, how disgusting this teacher is. And you know, I did a little research on this guy, and he's done certain stupid things like this in the past. I guess maybe to obtain some notoriety or something, I don't know. But to stand up in front of a classroom, a history teacher, and call our military the lowest of the low makes my blood boil. And I hope it does yours too. Because this kind of, whoops, I almost said a word I don't say on the radio. This kind of garbage, close, has got to stop. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to give away a dozen cookies right now to Sophie's Chatterbox. I am in a good mood, and they are too. Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert, right there on the square. You know, they can do everything. Their restaurant is fantastic. And, of course, their bakery is double fantastic. And now they're making wedding cakes and catering. Oh, my goodness. Along with all the great cookies and the breads and the buns and the biscuits. And, oh, my gosh, it's delicious. All right, here you go. You can win a dozen cookies, first-time winners only. And call me at 436-2244 if you know the answer to this. Here's the question. In the John Wayne movie, Rio Bravo, who was the rock and roll singer that played the gunfighter? In the John Wayne movie, Rio Bravo, who was the rock and roll singer that played the gunfighter? Give me a call quickly at 436-2244, 1-866-927, and you can be the winner of the delicious Sophie's cookies. And then if you're the winner, you call them and tell them when you'll be over there to pick them up. Come on, who was the rock and roll singer in the John Wayne movie Rio Bravo that played the gunfighter? I thought we'd have a call by now. Give me a jingle on the landline. While I am waiting for your call that I know is coming in, let's not forget to tell you about the urgent cares. You know, Kyle James and his staff, Alex and the rest of these people, they are committed, absolutely committed to offering you the best in health care and service and keeping the costs down. That's right. You get treated, not seated, no appointment needed or necessary. They're open 7 days a week with extended hours. I'm telling you the locations. Hold on, caller. I'll be right there. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley at 382 North Overland in Burley. Twin Falls Urgent Care at 2392 Addison Avenue East. And Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A. All the services for you, your family, your businesses, and they can and they will help you. Remember the urgent cares, a qualified provider on staff all the time, serving you at the urgent cares in Burley, Twin Falls, and Jerome. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
My guess is Bobby Darin.
No, that is not right, but that's a pretty good guess because Bobby Darin did star in a couple of Western movies. They weren't very good, but he did star in a couple of them, and thank you very much for your call. Thank you. No, Bobby Darin is not right. He was in a couple of really great B, C, D, E, F movies, one of which I think he played a gunfighter and a sheriff, but that's not the answer. This is a John Wayne movie, and the movie was called Rio Bravo. Who was the rock and roll singer that played the gunfighter? And you can win a dozen cookies. Come on, quickly give me a call. I can envision a lot of people running to the computers right now and saying, well, let's see, Rio Bravo. Let's look that up a little bit and see what we can find out. Hurry, while I'm waiting for your call, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. Lovey-loveys to all your loveys. Yes, Valentine's Day. And the Book Plaza at 220 West 11th Street in Burley says, come on in, look for a unique gift for your loved one. They've got them right there at the Book Plaza. Great selections of books and cookbooks and all kinds of books and precious moments. They've got it all for your Valentine at the Book Plaza in Burley. And Perkins Restaurant is having a ripping good deal, too, at 800 North Overland in Burley. They're saying take your loved one out for Valentine's Day dinner. Oh, Valentine's special, 2 dinners for $30. You'll find out more. I'll tell you more. This is going to be great eating and a lot of love exchanged at Perkins Restaurant. And Morney's Steakhouse. They're having a great big Valentine's special, 219 East 3rd Street in Burley. Very nice place to take your loved one for dinner. And don't forget on Valentine's Day, Wednesday, February 14th from 4 to 10 p.m., all you can eat prime rib and shrimp grand buffet. Woo! It sounds great to me at Morney's Steakhouse in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, Ricky Nelson.
Who is this?
Stan Monker.
Stan Monker. Now, how did you find that out?
Oh, I watched that movie 100 times over the years, I guess.
You sound like a John Wayne fan.
Sure am.
Well, I am too, but I say this with a little tongue-in-cheek. I'm certainly glad that Ricky Nelson did not pursue more acting as his career because I don't think he didn't come across as a real Old West gunfighter, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, not quite. It's kind of like Glenn Campbell said when he was in the movie he was in with John Wayne. He said, I didn't know anything about acting when I took the part. He said, whenever time I see myself, I think my record's still clean.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. What movie was Glenn Campbell in with John Wayne?
True Grit.
There you go. Stan, you're the man. Stan is the man with the cookies. Call over there to Sophie's and tell them when you'll be in for your cookies, my friend. Thanks.
I'll do it.
All right, sir. Thank you. Stan Monker, and he is the winner. It was Ricky Nelson. Now, I know you're going to think, oh, come on, Zeb. No, seriously, in a long, I guess, limbed tree, my mother was a distant cousin to Ozzie Nelson, Ricky and David's dad. And so I guess, yes, I am a long way away relative of the Nelson family. And I remember my mom telling me that Ozzie was a distant cousin of hers. There you go. Little family tree there this morning. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Wheels, I'm sorry, did I have another call waiting? I don't even know where Wheels went. Are you wearing your headset this morning, young man?
I am, sir.
Oh, did I have another call waiting?
No, sir, you did not.
Oh, I thought I heard that cow. Doggone, I'm starting to hear cows.
No, you're perfectly fine.
Okay, thank you, sir. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, boy, here's another one. A newspaper editorial said that, and I'm paraphrasing, it is high time to stop all movies being made that honor our troops because it promotes, listen to this now, toxic masculinity. Oh, this is getting so repugnant every day to have to report on the absolute demise of America and its values. Holy cow. I'll get back to that in a minute. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Jeb. You're talking about that history teacher, and I did read something about him myself. First, I feel sorry that someone be that ignorant, could be teaching our future, future citizens, or future adults and leaders of this country, and beyond that comes anger. I mean, he has the right to say what he wants, and that's part of the reason why people serve is to maintain that right, to freedom of speech. However, until you put on that 130-pound ruck and you walk for miles and miles on end, or know that you could get in a situation where you are not coming home and you give everything up and you write that blank check to Uncle Sam and the people of the United States that has your life on it, and they can cash it whenever it needs to be. And without blinking an eye, knowing you do it again and again and again, over and over and over, until you can do that, I don't think they have the right to put down our soldiers at all.
He might have the right, and by the way, Wheels, ride the gain a little bit on that so I can hear him a little better if you would. But Riley, he might have the right, basically, per se, of free speech, but I'm going to tell you, I also have the right of free speech, and I also have the right to sit here and condemn and damn him, and also have the right to say that if he were any teacher close by in this state, I'd go after him like a cat to a plate of milk and try to get him fired and run out of town on a rail. Free speech works both ways.
It does, and that's. I'm trying to hold my emotion back a little bit here because it's a really deep thing for me. I also have the right sometime to knock the holy living crap out of somebody who really deserves it.
Yeah, but that's underneath the realm of assault charges. Be careful there, my friend.
I know.
Okay,
I understand.
I got to run.
Yeah.
I don't want to advocate violence because there's a lot of ways we can shut these people up in a very, very peaceful manner, I hope. Thank you, Riley. I appreciate it. He's gone. All right. Well, let's go back to this editorial in just a moment. First of all, let me pay some bills. Stop toxic masculinity. This is so ridiculously stupid. We got to go after that in just a minute. Berry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Hello, Juan and the crew over there, and 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin with Eli, and also a location up in Nampa. They've got all the retail equipment rentals, or I should say retail equipment sales, equipment rentals. They've got it all for you, especially all the Bobcats. They've got a whole passel of Bobcats available, all shapes and sizes, new and used, and believe me, if you've never run one before, not to worry, they'll teach you. Yeah, they got a great big sandbox out behind, and they'll just give you your lesson and say, now go do this, go do that, now learn that. Then they'll give you a diploma of education, and you're ready to run a Bobcat. Berry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa serving you. They have all the equipment to get the job done right. Oh my, back to this story. It's unbelievable that this newspaper editorial said that it's time to stop all these war movies about Afghanistan and everything because they're promoting toxic masculinity. Movies are using what they said, outdated models of masculinity, and it's time to stop promoting men as being so strong and taking charge of items and various issues. What? This is exactly what we were talking about on the radio last week. The left, the liberals, they want all the men to be wusses. They want all the men to be absolutely incompetent. They want all the men to be subservient. They want all the men in this country, whether it's in commercials, whether it's in TV sitcoms, oh brother, whether it's in the movies or whatever the situation, they want them to be come across as absolutely incompetent. And it's time to fight back. You know, years ago, down at a rodeo in the Southwest, I met a gentleman that if you ever watch Ride TV, he was interviewed by Carly Twisselman, Dean Smith, one of the greatest of all time Hollywood stuntmen. And I had a chance to sit and talk to him. And Dean was a absolute amazing athlete and Olympian, and had such a long, long career in Hollywood as a stuntman on all the John Wayne movies, including the one I talked about earlier, Rio Bravo, and The Alamo, and just was absolutely an innovative leader in stunts. And he was doing an interview with this Carly Twisselman, and he said that's the problem with America today, that men are being portrayed as wusses and incompetent. And it's high time that this thing changed. And he pointed the finger at the industry that really made him famous and made him a lot of money, and that was Hollywood itself. He said, absolutely, the fault lies with Hollywood. And a transition to take men and turn them into no good, wormy little wussies. And he's right. And now this editorial that came out saying, well, we got to stop these war movies. Well, we can't have these men acting so masculine. We got to stop what they call toxic masculinity. Well, I'll tell you something. When men acted and were men, and women acted and were women, our society was one heck of a lot better off. Good heavens. Call me, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Look forward to hearing from you. Come on, give me a jingle on the landline. I want to remind you, too, and the reason I'm stalling here for a minute, I knocked my papers down, and there we go. I found everything. It's not exactly in order this morning. I apologize for that. I want to remind you, Brian Scott, Dan King, and Todd Lovelace. Hold on, caller. I'll be right there. Don't go away. Financial advisors with Waddell & Reed are going to have a booth at Agri-Action this next weekend at the CSI Expo Center, February 1, 2, 3. And they're going to be specializing in comprehensive financial planning, retirement planning, and investment planning. I'm telling you, they're going to have that booth there at the Agri-Action. But then, on the following Tuesday, February 6th, at their office at Waddell & Reed, they're going to have a great big seminar on farm and ranch succession planning. This is extremely important for you and your family to be there at Waddell & Reed, 1146 Eastland Drive North in Twin Falls. They need you to call to RSVP. They're expecting a lot of people, a lot of great farmers and ranchers, and the number to call is 732-7695. Don't forget, that's coming up on February the 6th at 6:30 p.m. All right, caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. There's several times through our American history that I'm glad men were men and stood up instead of being wusses. Because if they weren't, we'd be under English rule to begin with, and then we would be have slaves everywhere because the Democrats would have won the Civil War. We'd be speaking Japanese more than likely because of World War II.
Yep.
There's many times, and these people just think United States just happened, and we got all these freedoms because it just happened, and nobody has to do anything to defend it.
Tell me one primetime sitcom. Tell me one that shows boldly men the way they should be shown.
Today on TV?
Yeah, you can't find one, can you?
Not today, no.
You don't see a Father Knows Best. You don't see an Ozzie and Harriet. You don't see a Dick Van Dyke Show. And I'm talking just of the humorous vein, but still they were leaders of the family. They were leaders of their family situation. And tell me one. I'd like somebody to tell me I'm wrong.
I don't know of one right now. And in fact, a lot of the commercials pick men as second.
Well, look at the progressive TV commercials with Flo. You and I think, talked about this last week. Flo is portrayed as a know-all, and the rest of the people in the commercials, the men are just absolutely bumbling boobs, quite frankly. And I'm sick of that portrayal, and now this editorial goes after the movies that celebrate some of the great heroes that we've had in the military, and they call them toxic masculinity movies. That makes me sick.
It does me too. And you take like that Senecott commercial where that guy says Senecoot, and she corrects him.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there just boils my blood.
Well, there's so many commercials, and there's a trend right now. I dare you to watch TV, and I think, let's take a little survey and see if I'm wrong. I dare anybody tonight between the hour of 6 and 9 or 6 and 10, however late you stay up, and you want to follow all this garbage that is on television right now. The only TV I watch now are sports and news programs, and then it's bad enough to get the commercials in between there that portray men as being complete idiots. But watch prime time and tell me how many men are going to be shown as leaders of the family and leaders of the community.
Yeah, they'll be hard-pressed to find them.
That's right.
And I've been watching that Scandalous. Have you watched it?
I won't watch that stuff.
Well, it's on Fox News, and it is about the Clintons and all of their scandals.
Oh, I'm sorry. I owe you an apology. I forgot that. I was thinking of a TV series on another network. It's not titled that. I was wrong. Yes, I have not seen this, but I've wanted to watch it.
It brings back a lot of memories, and didn't Bill Clinton fire the special the person that was investigating him and put in Starr, I think it was?
You know, this is a great conversation because, you know, Doug, let's just clear the air with the Democrats that I'm real afraid that they're lagging behind in their education. The President of the United States, it is not illegal for him or illicit at all for him to fire anybody or anyone that he wants to. It's part of his executive powers.
Exactly. But it brought to memory when Bill was being investigated under that Watergate.
Yeah.
I think they removed one of the head prosecutor on it and replaced him with another one.
Well, there was an article. Go ahead.
Somebody.
No, that's right. And go ahead and criticize it. You know, but here's something interesting. That remember back in the days of LBJ, and I hate to even bring this up because I'm paraphrasing now, but during the Vietnam War, the Lyndon Baines Johnson administration, they absolutely inflated all the figures of fatalities in the Vietnam War. Remember that? And then they went after the Justice Department, and they basically did a lot of arm twisting to change the reporting that was going to the United States people. Well, now there was an editorial in our illustrious Times News last week. I hope you read it. The headline was, "Trump shouldn't politicize the Justice Department," as if he's the only one that has done this. It's okay for the Democrats, but not for Donald Trump.
Well, they got a very short memory when the finger points at them.
Amen.
Very short memory.
Amen.
And this all coming through. And did you see a report this morning where this guy goes out on college campuses, a young guy, he's just after college age, but anyway, and he was talking on some college in New York, asking them what they thought about the State of the Union address Trump gave.
Yes, I did.
And all of them were just as if they knew everything. One of them said he started the whole crowd in a chant.
Yeah.
To get chants going. And they asked him, did anyone say, hey, that speech hasn't happened yet, it's not happening until Tuesday? And he said, no, not a one.
You see, this is the problem, and I'm way late on my weather forecast. I'm 5 minutes late, but this is the problem with the youth, and I term youth 18 to 30 in this country, that absolutely they spend a lot of time flapping their jaws, but they spend very little time trying to put something in their mind that's meaningful.
Exactly. They've got all the social media, all of these at their fingertips. They don't have to dig through a world atlas like we did or an encyclopedia to find something. It's right there at their fingertips, and they fail to research it.
Amen. I got to run, Doug. I'm way late. Thank you.
God bless everybody. Let's do what we can for our senior center.
There you go. Thank you, buddy.
Out when we can.
All right. Hey, don't forget our weather forecast this hour brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology. And they're right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room, and the number to call for a hearing screening, 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. They can help you restore your hearing. And I mean, if you're noticing any diminishment, call them right away for a hearing screening, 312-0957. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
As we kick off this work week, looks like Mother Nature is going to be kind for us, at least for the next couple of days, as we have this high-pressure system that's going to be sticking around, bumping up the temperatures just a little bit. For today, partly sunny skies, a little on the breezy side, winds out of the east, right around 10 miles an hour, just possible as high as 20 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 48. Tonight, more clouds are going to roll in with a low of 32. For tomorrow, partly sunny skies, high of 49, mostly cloudy and 31 for Tuesday night. Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high of 42. And for Thursday, mostly sunny skies and 41. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, I tell you, I appreciate that, Gina. Thank you. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with Dr. Christine Pickup. They are dedicated to serving families with hearing loss of all ages and their families. Call them at 312-0957. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, one more thing that I forgot to mention or didn't have time. I got on Twitter here a while back. My wife talked me into it. And I've got a follower, it's Anthony Scaramucci. So I sent him a message and asked him if he could relay it to the president about if he could total up the amount of dollars that have been handed out in bonuses since the tax cut.
Yeah.
And address it in the State of the Union address. And he sent me back a message that says, great idea, I will.
Well, wonderful. And by the way, like Nancy Appaloosa said, that those crumbs of $1,000 to these families are meaningless. You know something, Dougie? I don't know about you, but $1,000 to me, Deanne, my family, it still means maybe a month of groceries, or maybe it means new tires, or maybe it needs a car repair, or whatever. And to have Nancy Appaloosa say that absolutely it's nothing more than crumbs, it just shows you the arrogancy of the Democrats.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And when was it? When Obama was in there, I can't remember the exact year, where they was trying to pass a tax deal giving people $40 a week.
Yeah.
And that would be substantial to everybody.
You know, $160 a month as compared to $1,000. Come on, give me a break. You know, I mean, these people, and these companies didn't have to do this, by the way. They didn't have to give this money out, but I think your question, the way it was phrased, is excellent. And if you receive an answer, I'm going to expect you to give us a call.
Oh, yeah, listen to the speech. Hopefully, that's where I wanted him to address it, if he could get the numbers together and mention it in his speech.
Oh, I'll look forward to that.
I've heard people on the news and everywhere saying that these bonuses being handed out is a surprise home run.
Oh, yeah.
They did not expect this.
Oh, absolutely. And look at the money that's going to turn back over in the economy again. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that Nancy Appaloosa and Durbin and the rest of these guys are not real bright.
No. Well, I kind of, in my head, in which it's a lot of vacancy up there, so I got a lot of room for numbers, but it's going to be close to $1 trillion handed out in bonuses.
Wow. Okay, I got to run, Doug. I really do. Thank you.
God bless.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Hey, don't forget our major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All seven locations. There's no reason you can't find them. They're all over. And I'll tell you where they are in just a minute, but they've got all your traction tires. Yes, they do. They've got all the tire chains, and they've got the best, underline that, in brake service, the best in front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. Oh, they're waiting for you. Doing the right thing matters. And they do the right thing. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Here's where they're located. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome. Great family. The Twist family over in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley, serving you. Stop in, see them today, tell them what you need, tell them what you're looking for. They're the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They are. Absolutely. Hey, next hour, we've got Frosty Woolridge. I don't think you want to miss that. It's going to be absolutely very interesting regarding the DACA Dreamers and the illegal aliens coming into this country. And then at 9:30, we're going to talk to Liberty McCarter, and she's going to be talking about the possible Trump and some bad dalliances he might have had. So we're going to have that on the air. And then at 10:06, Gabriel Bashi is going to be on, talking about capitalism versus millennials with their lean towards socialism. And then at 10:32, one of my favorite guests, Maria Espinoza, talking about the Dreamers and the infiltration of all the illegals thanks to the Democrats. So we're going to have all that coming up for the rest of the morning. Thank you for tuning in. And right now we're going to turn it back over to Wheels at our main studios, and we'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, good morning, and welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch, hour number 2 on this last Monday of January. Oh, wow, this month has gone fast. Hey, good morning to you, and of course our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. We're going to, right now, Wheels has got his finger on the button, and we're going to talk a little bit about Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Way Services is landing ahead, always at your disposal. Western Way Services.
You know, what can you say about people that are so absolutely good at their job? I mean, man alive, we can brag on them every day, but they are the best. Western Way Services, always at your disposal. I urge you to call them, get on the route service. They'll come by once a week, pick up your garbage. It's gone. Wave goodbye. No problemo. They're the best. Western Way Services, 734-6969. Give them a call today, Western Way Services. Also, some other folks that are on my program and have been on my program for a long, long time. God bless them. They are super nice people to work with. Joel Heward, his family, and the staff at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. You know, it's just really kind of hard to talk about deaths and relatives passing away, but you know what? That's also a part of life. And they are there at Hanson Mortuary to serve you always with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. I urge you to call today, 436-5636, Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, and Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne on East Main in Burley. Right now, I'm telling you, I was looking forward to having him on the air this morning. I thought about it all weekend long because he tells it like it is. Both of us together are not going to mince any words about illegal aliens, illegal immigration, DACA, etc. And here's my good friend in Golden, Colorado. We've been through a lot together over the last many years. Good morning, Frosty Woolridge. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Boy, oh boy, I got to tell you, the title, the column that I sent you last night, The Mess in Washington, D.C. to Worsen, it published nationally this morning. Anyone who wants to go to one of the places it published, newswithviews.com or CapitolHillOutsider.com, it is a litany of exactly why Washington, D.C. is in such a mess right now. Whether they shut the government down because they haven't
pre-planned or pre-worked or pre-compromised just to simply keep the government running, and to realize that every one of those men and women up there are getting paid $176,000. It takes me 5 years to make that kind of money. But anyway, $176,000 a year, and they're all sitting up there and literally working against the American citizenry, and I spell it out in this article. So I hope that everyone gets a chance, and then, of course, goes to the references and websites that I talk about in order to collectively make your voice more powerful. So it's a pleasure to be with you this morning, sir.
Well, it's a great pleasure to have you on the air and take the time to be on my program, as you're on many radio programs across the country. There was a great paragraph in your latest piece. If you don't mind, I'd like to read that in its entirety, because at the end of the paragraph, the last sentence absolutely is an attention grabber. So stand by. Here I read and I quote, "Liberals call all conservatives racists. Mexican La Raza advocates call all Americans racist, while they parade the Mexican flag everywhere in our country and plot to recover 4 border states for their own. Black Lives Matter members call Americans racist. Muslims call Americans Islamophobic. Yet," and here's the key sentence, "the great majority of people of every color around the globe clamor to immigrate to America." That absolutely tells it like it is.
Well, it certainly does. I don't know if anybody has known this, but you all know about the diversity visas. 50,000 with 50,000 people in third world countries every year get a chance for the diversity visa, and that diversity visa just gives them a free ride over to America. They call it the golden ticket, and it gets them out of their miserable hellholes, and you've heard other names called also. But if it has been shown by the Pew Research Center and several other research centers like Center for Immigration Studies, that if we gave them tickets, in excess of 100 million people around the world would move to America. If they had a plane ticket and they had a visa, they would move to America right now. And that same 100 million would be another 100 million next year. That's how desperate so much of the world is, because that's how desperate so much of the world is overpopulated, whether it's in India or whether it's in China, certainly whether it's in Mexico, whether it's in Bangladesh, you name it. 100 million people would move to America each year if they got that diversity visa ticket and the plane ticket and the visa. That's what's going on in the world, and I spell it out in this article, I think, very clearly. And yet, all of the people that are already here from these different racial makeups or these different religious makeups are demonstrating in the streets, and they're calling us all of the names they call us, and yet, as I said, millions, in fact, 1.1 million actually get a legal golden ticket to our country every year, which is more than all other countries combined don't take in 1.1 million immigrants every year. So you can see here that there is something really wrong with this picture.
Okay, let's just be real definitive here for a minute, Frosty, and talk about the Atlantic Ocean and the border states on the Atlantic. Whoa, let's go over the flyover country all the way to the Pacific and the states on our left coast. You know what? The last time I looked, we are not building any more land or any more dirt in any of the states of the 50 states. It's becoming very crowded. It's becoming very populated. And my point of saying this is, when this country was a fledgling nation and we welcomed at the harbor in New York under the Statue of Liberty, come one, come all, hey, that's fine and dandy then. But now, because of the environment, because of the social encroachment on all states, I think that we need to have a quota system and much tougher screening. Do you think I'm wrong?
Well, you are so very correct. Everybody, languishes with we're a nation of immigrants. Well, the reality is we are no longer a nation of immigrants. We're here. It's our country. It's a mature civilization. It cannot sustain more immigrants. It cannot sustain the projected 100 million that are clamoring to get here within the next 30 years. And if we keep immigrating these people and their birth rate, we will have another 100 million of them. It is not sustainable. Every scientific study has shown that we do not have the water, we certainly don't have the energy, and we don't have the resources to feed this country and all these people in it right now. We literally import 7 out of 10 barrels of oil. We are, bringing in food from other countries. We're certainly exhausting the resources that make this country work, whether it's the cell phone, whether it's the zinc or the lead or the cadmium that goes into the batteries. These things are now being exhausted. So you're very much correct. We're not creating any more land, and we're just literally shoving more people on the land. I'm not sure that I talked about it in the past, but it's called ecological footprint. When you have an Ethiopian, their ecological footprint to exist is 0.4. That's 4/10 of an acre that they are using right there in Ethiopia in Africa. But when an Ethiopian comes to America, their ecological footprint becomes 25.4 acres. And so if you take 100 million more immigrants coming into America in the next 30 years, that means 2.54 billion acres, B as in boy, billion acres of land must be destroyed to support that new immigrant. Folks, we can't do that because I always ask, where do the animals go? Because that's their habitat. Well, they go extinct. And how much do we want to continue to create the extinction rates as they keep racing across this country? It's 25 a year. It's 250 animals go extinct every year in the United States. That's 2,500 every 10 years. You can imagine the magnification of those extinction rates if we add another 100 million. That's why we have to change course, and we American citizens say enough is enough. And, of course, my call is to stop all immigration into America. We simply cannot support any number and more immigrants, period.
Let me say this, and again, Frosty, we're good enough friends that if you don't agree with my statement, I'd like to arbitrate with you a little bit. But I will say this, that 100 years ago in the United States of America, immigration, and when they hit Ellis Island to go to various parts of the compass all across our country, there was a return on the investment of having them come here because they started businesses, they started towns and communities, and they became community leaders as they wanted to become American citizens. That was 100 years ago, and there was a return on our investment. Today, tell me, my dear friend, with all these people coming in, illegal and also legal immigrants, that we are footing the bill for, what's the return on our investment? Am I wrong?
Well, actually, the return on your investment is a negative $296 billion a year, B as in boy, across 15 federal agencies. The EBT card, which is the electronic benefits transfer card, is all of your tax dollars paying for all of these people coming to this country. The fact is we're not getting a return on the investment. We're actually paying out literally hundreds of millions of dollars into the billions of dollars, $296 billion a year. Again, as I said in this article, we're paying out $120 billion a year in cash transfers as all of these immigrants, both legal and illegal, send money back to their own countries. So, no, there is a very big, I mean huge, negative non-return, and in fact an unbelievable $296 billion a year of yours and my taxpayer dollars going out to pay for all these people who cannot sustain themselves, cannot work a job, don't have skills, don't have education, don't have the language, and certainly don't have the ability to contribute to the American way of life.
I am really hard-pressed to have any sympathies for the Dreamers, the DACA young people, and after what they did to protest and yell and scream and swear at the Trump administration and stop families from trying to get into Disneyland to further their cause and demand our rights and demand citizenship. Actually, I think they should have been all loaded up into a great big van, taken to the nearest seaport, and said, go find another country. We don't need you here.
Well, that's exactly correct. And I want everybody to understand that now the figures are not just 800,000 of these DACA people. The number could be closer to 3.5 million, and with chain migration, it could be well over 10 million. So this is a monumental fiasco. There's been several ways that they would like to bring them in, if they're going to allow them at all, is just work permits and shut down that 1.1 million immigrants coming in every year, and then allow these DACA people to get a work permit, and then at least they can work here, but not give them citizenship, because that's what's happening anyway so much of the time. But also put a proviso on that they have to stay out of jail, they have to stay out of drugs, they got to stay in school and pass, because if they don't, then we're not going to give them a work permit. Because this is a fact that came out that nobody's talking about. Over half of those 800,000 DACA students did not graduate from high school. And mind you, we're the ones paying for all those high school kids to go through K through 12. We pay for all their breakfasts and lunches. We pay for their Section 8 housing for their mothers. So many of them, of course, literally don't have any academic propensities whatsoever. And, of course, they're all going on more welfare if they get validified or, legalized in our country. But I like the fact that if you're going to feel sorry for them at all, give them a work permit, but they better toe the line and they better contribute to our country, and at the same time stop that 1 million immigrants for several years from coming into our country, so that we can somehow deal with this as high as 3.5 million DACA students.
Yeah, and here's something else that's such a twist by the Democrats and the liberals in this country. They'll say, well, no, we can't do that. Why, we're going to be profiling everybody. Why, we have to take everybody. Wait a minute. And this is where I really get upset. If we go ahead and allow these people here, the DACAs, whether it's 3.5, 2.8, 1.8, whatever the million number is, and say, okay, we'll let you stay here until you commit a crime or you're a felon, all that's going to do is just be aiding and abetting sanctuary cities with the likes of Rahm Emanuel and de Blasio in New York. How are we going to deport them even if they do commit a crime, because they'll be living in these sanctuary cities and we'll never get rid of them?
Well, and that's exactly, this thing is so complicated, it's incredible, but the simplest thing to do is to ship them all back to their own country.
Bingo.
Because in reality, their mothers and fathers are illegal aliens.
That's right.
In this country illegally. Those kids are part of those families. They should reunite back in Mexico or whatever country they came from. That's the reality. Again, we are becoming the doormat for the dumping ground of the world. I mean, Mexico's been dumping its poorest and its least educated and unskilled into our country now for the last 30 years, and the numbers are piling up so much so that by 2042, you and I, the American citizens who built this country, we are going to be in the minority. That's a reality. Go to the Pew Research Center, and by 2042, Latino-Mexican contingent of this ethnic group will be the new majority at 51% in the United States of America, and European Americans will be the minority.
Yeah, though, Frosty, let's leave that just for a second here, and I want you to expand a little bit into the problem that we have with the blacks that are in the power of leadership and what they're doing to absolutely destroy any kind of good race relationships in this country. And you look at black New York congresswoman that stood on the corner this last week in New York and said that the ICE agents were akin to being the Gestapo. And then you look at Representative Maxine Waters and what she's done to absolutely destroy any kind of professionalism in the Congress, and saying that she's going to have her own State of the Union tomorrow night on the Black Entertainment Network. And then you look at the NFL with the blacks sitting during the national anthem. I'm telling you, they're doing their own damage to their own race.
Well, they truly are. That was Yvette Clarke who called ICE next to Gestapo of America. This woman could be literally as dumb as Maxine Waters and certainly Sheila Jackson, certainly John Lewis. These are the black Americans who've been in Congress for over 30 years each, and they've never, ever written a bill or even had a bill passed that helped African Americans with jobs, with vocational training, with education. They've done nothing. All they've done in Congress is literally been in the Black Caucus, and the Black Caucus has done nothing. And what is really amazing that most Americans don't realize is that Barack Obama, who is a mulatto, half black, half white man, he did nothing for black America whatsoever in his 8 years in the White House. He did what he did, but he did not help African Americans. And so you're seeing all this Black Caucus and all these characters that are making all these complaints, like Maxine Waters, who has literally a vacant head. But same thing with Yvette Clarke. I mean, these people don't know what they're saying. They don't know what they're doing. And in fact, they're not doing anything, period.
Yeah, but wait a minute. It's not just them. It's the likes of what I call Nancy Appaloosa. Nancy has come out with stupid, absolutely stupid and very riling statements of saying, make America white again. She accuses Trump of being a racist. I am sick and tired. I'm a Caucasian. I'm very proud of my race. You are also. Why should we be denigrated and pushed into second-class citizenship for the likes of being called racists?
You know, that's the great conundrum that we're all facing in this country. You've got enough people that got into Congress with enough voice to denigrate all of us. Really, when you think about it, we're being denigrated to be in our own country by fellow Americans.
That's right.
You know, and that is, and these are the leaders that are supposed to be creating a cohesive community of Americans, a cohesive electorate that we're all pulling in the same directions. But unfortunately, whether it was Harry Reid or Charles Schumer or certainly Joe Baca out there in California or Dianne Feinstein, they're working against America becoming a cohesive American citizenry, and especially the black the ones that are up there making these unbelievable statements, or Nancy Pelosi. They're absolutely separating us by their rhetoric and name-calling, and that is no way to move this country forward as a cohesive country. The same thing with the black athletes that are taking a knee and disrespecting our flag. They're not doing themselves any good. And Black Lives Matter wanting to separate the 5 southern states. This is just unbelievable divisiveness. And it's not going to end in a good thing. It's not going to end in a good way for any of us, really.
Real quick, and I've only got 2 minutes left in this segment, I want you to comment on that high school teacher in California that stood up in front of the class and called our military the lowest of the low. I wish that man lived closer. I'd like to start a real rampant rage against getting him fired.
Totally with you. You know, I understand there's another thing that's going across social media that Antifa is going to go to Sturgis next summer.
Yeah.
The Sturgis motorcycle rider rally in South Dakota, which I go to myself.
Yes.
They would last about the first half hour, and then they'd be tarred and feathered and run on a rail out of town.
You know, wait a minute. Let me interrupt you for a second. You know, you want to pick your battles, and quite frankly, Antifa or Black Lives Matter, any of them going to Sturgis, I think maybe somebody better find another location.
Well, they better, because if they drag the American flag across the pavement or step on it, I guarantee you they would not live to tell the tale. That's real America. I mean, Sturgis is the block party of America. I mean, all Americans that go there are all American, and you better be an all-American, because if you do something like stomp on the American flag, oh my heavens to bid, they would not live through that experience, to tell you the truth.
I believe after an event like that, their travel agent probably would be sued.
Well, the key here is, I hope everyone is calling into their senator and their 2 senators and their House reps to absolutely. I've already called Michael Bennet and Gardner, who were both sponsors of this DACA bill, and I just said, no DACA. You have got to sit there and say no DACA passage. You might want to, if they come up with a better idea, like giving them a work permit, but not instant citizenship. They haven't deserved it. They haven't earned it. They're not valid for it.
That's right.
It literally is going to create unbelievable run on the borders, because it will be the 8th biggest amnesty given to all these illegals in the last 30 years. We can't afford it. That's why I am so totally against DACA, and I'm sorry, cry me a river of tears, but go back to your own country and work your own country into a better country.
Amen.
And that's what Mexico needs to do, work its own country by its own citizens into a better country, because what's going on in Mexico right now is a nightmare for anybody. So go change it. Don't mess our country up. Go change your own country.
Absolutely. And with that, I'm going to say have a great day, a great week, and thank you, Frosty, my dear friend, Frosty Woolridge, Golden, Colorado. See you next Monday. Thank you.
God bless.
All right, buddy. Thank you much. Oh, my goodness. Valentine's Day's right around the corner, and I know some great places to take your lovey, like the Dry Dock. Oh, what a great place to eat at 181 West Highway 30 in Burley. Been there many times. Beautiful view of the Snake River and fantastic people serving you. Valentine's Day special, a 10 to 12 ounce New York steak with 3 tiger shrimp or 6 ounce salmon and 3 tiger shrimp. All the goodies. It's going to be fantastic on Halloween. Valentine's Day. Don't forget the hours are 5:30 to 9:30 each night. Really, really good. Call for reservations at 678-2628. And Sweetheart Manor wishing you a very happy Valentine's Day. They're located at 217 South Highway 27, south of Burley. Brenda and Alan Olson, wonderful people. And Sweetheart Manor has been in the Burley area for over 40 years for weddings, receptions, business meetings, family parties, all of this and more. And they also do a lot of catering with cakes and desserts. It's wonderful. Sweetheart Manor, south of Burley. And last but not least, here's some really nice people at the Haight Home Bed and Breakfast in Oakley, 215 East Poplar Street in Oakley. And believe me, take a little journey, but you don't have to drive very far. Right there in Oakley, you can take a journey into the past and enjoy a historic Victorian beauty and get away from it all at the Haight Home Bed and Breakfast. Call them today for more information, relaxation, and comfort. And the number 862-7829. Haight Home Bed and Breakfast in Oakley. Got to get up there and see that. Really nice businesses. Wishing you and yours a very happy Valentine's Day. We're going to have our next guest on the program momentarily, but I want to remind everybody that on Tuesdays, don't forget we have the Idaho Legislative Update, and we want to say thank you very much to Handy Truck Lines and our good friends over there, always serving you around the Intermountain area. Handy Truck Lines with Clay Handy, and they provide transportation services to all of Idaho and the surrounding states. They are very pleased to be serving the businesses in our community as they begin their 90th year in service. Handy Truck Lines bringing you tomorrow at 9:30 the Idaho Legislative Update. In just a moment, we're going to have a lady on our program that is a very valued guest. We're going to have her on in just a moment. But first and foremost, I want to tell you all about Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More with my good friend Jeff and the entire crew over at Lee's Furniture. Oh, my goodness, they've got it all for you. They've got very, very special prices right now on mattresses. Queen box sets at $29 per month for 2 years, interest-free. Premium pillow tops at $59 a month, and the Diamond Plush at $79 a month. Oh my goodness, you better get in there and check it out. Like I said, 2 years interest-free at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley with Jeff and the crew. Check out all the mattress buys, all the furniture buys, and the carpet buys at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More in Burley. You get in there and see them today. Right now, let's go to the phone line. She's probably sick and tired of hearing me kind of delay the introduction, and we want to say a good morning to a very, very nice lady, Liberty McCarter, that writes for The Stream. Good morning, Liberty. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing great. It's great to be here.
I am so sorry to keep you waiting for a few minutes, but sometimes you got to pay the bills.
I understand. No problem.
Liberty, you're really good at writing your thoughts and conveying those to paper so that I can read your articles. I have a lot of respect for you. Tell us a little bit about this latest article about the Mulligan controversy, if you'd explain it, please.
Sure. Well, as a lot of your listeners probably recall last week, in the last few weeks, we've learned that there are reports that President Donald Trump had engaged in an extramarital affair with a porn star a few years ago and that his lawyer paid her to keep quiet, and now people are kind of investigating this. Unfortunately, we know about Trump's past lifestyle, so this kind of behavior probably doesn't surprise a lot of people, and we don't know for sure whether or not this actually happened. But Tony Perkins, who leads the Family Research Council, made headlines when he responded by saying, he was asked by a liberal Politico reporter, well, how do you square this behavior with your support of Trump as an evangelical Christian? And he said, well, evangelicals, we kind of gave Trump a mulligan or a do-over, and that sparked a lot of controversy, including among fellow Christians who even did support Trump. And thankfully Perkins came out later. He wrote a column kind of clarifying what he meant and, stating, no, I'm not saying that we're excusing that bad behavior, just kind of explaining why a lot of evangelicals decided to go ahead and support Trump. So I really appreciated his clarification. I think it made a lot of sense. But my argument is that as Christians, even the ones who do just decide to support Trump politically, it's really important how we respond to controversies that come to light just about President Trump because of his vast behavior, and we know he doesn't always display the most Christian behavior, and so even as we support him politically, it's really important to respond to those controversies by affirming biblical principles and calling sin, no matter who does it.
Let me ask you this, Liberty, and this is hypothetical, but bear with me and also criticize me if you don't like what I say, okay? What would have happened if Tony Perkins would have verbalized this, and he would have said something like, we are all sinners, and we all ask for forgiveness. If Donald Trump did these allegations and has asked for forgiveness, who am I to not forgive him?
Well, I think, actually, you have a lot of people who have said similar things like that, and that's been kind of a big theme among evangelicals to talk about forgiveness. My argument would be that, yes, we are all sinners. We've all fallen short of the glory of God, and we are all in equal need of salvation. But I don't think that necessarily means that everybody's sin has the same exact impact or effect on the people surrounding them. You can lust after a woman in your heart, which Jesus condemns and is saying, that's like committing adultery in your heart. It doesn't necessarily have the same impact on your family, though, as going ahead and committing that affair. So I think it's really important for Christians to emphasize forgiveness, but sometimes, if you are talking to somebody who is not a believer, they don't really understand forgiveness, and they're trying to square, your support of somebody who is really seems to be against your values. It's really important to acknowledge the sin and say, yes, we forgive him if he has apologized, and, we're not judging him on a spiritual level, but we can look at his behavior and say, yes, this is bad. Marital fidelity is extremely important. That's what Christians are all about. Adultery is harmful for, these reasons, and just kind of affirm that, that is wrong, because you can't have forgiveness unless you first acknowledge the sin. And I think, and I don't think this is purposeful, but I think a lot of Trump supporters are really quick to emphasize forgiveness for him, to rationalize, or not rationalize, but to justify their support of him, but they don't take the adequate time to acknowledge the sin first and kind of preach what the Bible says about that sin. Because forgiveness doesn't mean as much if you don't first acknowledge why you need that forgiveness and why what somebody did was bad in the first place.
I agree with everything you said, but I'm going to throw a caveat onto the end of that, though, assuming the allegations are true. And right now in this country, we have a Shark Tank full of piranhas that absolutely in the media want to take every story, every allegation, and make it almost purported to be fact. And I'm a little hesitant to damn or condemn somebody because of some of the media.
I completely understand that. Excuse me, having some allergies over here. But I completely understand that, and that is unfortunate. And one of the things I point out in my column, it's very possible that Tony Perkins could have said something, completely different, and then in the article, his initial quote got cut or kind of misrepresented to where, what you see in the headline makes him look really bad. I mean, we deal with that kind of media bias on a daily basis. So, and I think there are a lot of really good Christian conservative journalists and just, even some ethical journalists still working in the mainstream media that really try to pursue that truth. And so my challenge to fellow Christians is, I know it's really easy to kind of have a knee-jerk reaction against what the mainstream media says, and they're constantly going to call Christians hypocrites. They're constantly going to, there's plenty to criticize Trump about, but they're going to criticize him for even more things that aren't worth criticizing him about. But instead of reacting to that, I really believe the truth is found somewhere in the middle, and we have to just say, okay, we're going to stick to what the Bible says. We're going to keep preaching the Bible, not get overly defensive to where, our defensiveness clouds that biblical truth that should be our first priority, and at the same time support those truth-seeking journalists that are out there combating the mainstream bias. And I think, fortunately, we've seen a lot of increase in that, those kind of conservative or truth-seeking journalists that kind of really do try to combat that mainstream media bias.
I agree with what you're saying and the premise of our story here this morning. You and I are basically on the same sideline, but I will say this, I've got to look at things with a little bit of a jaded outlook when we have a total lack of respect for the presidency. I'm not talking Trump. I'm saying a total lack of the presidency and this administration by the liberal left. And this is what's creating and fostering more problems in our country today. That's my statement.
Yeah, and I would agree. There are, it's ironic. We all saw, a lot of conservatives were not happy with Obama for 8 years, but I don't think you really saw a lot of people going around with signs saying, we don't accept him as our president. It was like, well, we don't really like his policies, but it is what it is. He's our president. And then you have Trump elected, and a lot of people just went crazy, not going to the State of the Union address, not, you have members of Congress not acknowledging him as our president, and that isn't so much an attack on Trump as it is an attack on our political institution and how we elect leaders and accept who the people elect and everything. But, again, it's like you have to be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. And so you have to, like you said, sometimes you look at things with a little bit of a jaded perspective. You understand the bias that's there. You're not completely blind to it, and you combat that where you can. But just, you have to also guard yourself because it's really easy. And I don't mean you, but, one has to guard oneself because it's really easy to just become defensive and focus so much on that we kind of lose opportunities. Like I would argue Tony Perkins had initially to really speak biblical truth because we're so focused on combating the media bias or pushing back against extreme liberalism that we kind of miss opportunities where we could be like, hey, this would actually be a really great opportunity to preach the gospel and talk about an important biblical issue like fidelity in marriage, and instead we end up getting focused, so much on just political defensiveness.
I would agree again with you, but I would also say that the denigration, and I'll underline that word, of the value system in this country, whether it's the family values, whether it's the morality values and issues, whether it's the values that used to be in Congress and the halls of the Senate and the floor of the House, whether it's the president's office itself. All of these values have been lessened over the last 20 to 15 years in this country, and I'm really afraid as to whether or not we can get them restored.
It is frightening, and I think that's a result of the secularization of our society, and you're having, this coming Generation Z, and my generation, millennials, fewer of people in those generations are Bible-believing Christians than, any time previously. But one thing people will often, in the mainstream media, you will see these studies saying, look at all these, Christian Protestant churches. People are leaving them. People are leaving religion. But if you look really closely, people are leaving mainline Protestant churches that are, the denominations that are kind of accepting secularism. They're stopping preaching the Bible, and they are just preaching kind of this social gospel. And, you look at actual churches that are still preaching the Bible, still preaching the gospel, and they are growing. And so we do have a shift in our country right now, but I think, I'm always an optimist. And so if you look at the churches that are really preaching the Bible and focusing on the gospel, those churches are growing. And so I think, that's an opportunity there. And I think that just, again, goes to show how important it is to focus on the gospel. Yes, comment on cultural matters, but always through the lens of what the Bible has to say about it. And I think, as much as the left or mainstream media or, atheists or whoever balk against that and say they don't want to hear it, ultimately that is what attracts people to Christ. So that's what we have to keep focusing on. You can just see, how powerful the gospel is, and hopefully we can continue to focus on that and maybe start to reclaim some of those values that we've lost over the past year.
Though, Liberty, one thing I will say, I think I've talked it over with you in the past, and I'll take the heat for this statement. You don't have to. I have said that in a lot of cases, not all, but a lot of cases, the leader of the church, the pastor, up at the pulpit, has turned into a coward of not addressing social issues that are negative and wrong and tying it into biblical prophecy. They have turned into a form up there that doesn't want to have any controversy, and I think that's the cowardly way out. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. I mean, obviously you always want to focus from the pulpit on the gospel, but when things are going on in our world, whether it's, abortion or racism or, so much bias in the mainstream media where people aren't caring about the truth anymore. Whatever is going on culturally, I think it behooves the church to comment on that because people want to know. And where do they look to? They look to the church to say, this is a confusing time. All these things are going on. What does the Bible say? And that's where, the preacher at the pulpit can say, look, here's this issue that's going on. Let's apply the Bible to it and see what the Christian outlook on this is. And so I think you absolutely have to do that, and so that necessitates talking about the current events of the day. And if you don't do that, you're not equipping your flock to be able to go out and actually witness to people about relevant topics going on because they haven't heard about it in church.
Let me ask you this. You mentioned, pardon me, I've got a little bit of a cold. You've got allergies. We're in a great shape this morning. Let me ask you this. You mentioned that millennials a little bit ago. How do you ring the bell of the church steeple for the millennials so that they can hear it and may want to attend? I see a society of unbelievers because they haven't been exposed. And how do you expose them when they won't listen to the bell?
Well, one of the things that I think, and I think this is backed up by studies and also anecdotal evidence from talking to fellow millennials, is churches have gotten cowardly, like you said. And I think for a lot of my generation, we grew up in churches that really tried to make Christianity seem cool and attractive to young people. And instead of focusing on the truth, it was kind of, watering things down to be palatable. Well, if you water the gospel down, it's not the gospel anymore, and so people aren't attracted to that. You might not know that you're seeking the gospel, but whenever you go to church, you're seeking that truth. So when you water it down, it loses its attraction, and people end up leaving the church because they're like, well, I can go get a feel-good message somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big reason that a lot of millennials are leaving is because so many churches just stopped preaching the gospel, and they stopped, addressing relevant issues with the hard-hitting truths of the Bible. And I think, there's an opportunity, though, because a lot of millennials have replaced that religion hole in their heart with just other kinds of spiritualism, astrology and fortune-telling. These are all things that are becoming very mainstream in the millennial generation. And so I think that's an opportunity for churches. Millennials are kind of open and seeking again to come in, for churches to come in and minister to them in that way.
Okay, last thought. I've only got about 45 seconds. Being a millennial, are you seeing any transitions or changes for the good, or are we on a downhill slide that doesn't look like it can be turned around?
I think millennials see a lot that's wrong with the world. One thing about our generation is we're very compassionate and, very justice-minded, and that can be annoying when you're a social justice warrior and you've been captured by the left, so to speak. But I think that provides an opportunity for Christians to come in and talk about true justice and what the gospel means and how Jesus really is the answer to all the hurt we see in the world. So that's a great opportunity.
Wow. I enjoy having you on. Liberty, it's a great, great day when you're a guest on this program. We have a good discussion. Liberty McCarter with thestream.org. Thank you so much, and please come back soon.
I will. Thank you so much.
All right, take care. Great young lady, and I appreciate all of her writings. Liberty McCarter with thestream.org. Look up her writings. She does a great job. Oh, my. I know I'm behind. I'm sorry. Hey, we've got to get the weather forecast on here real quick. Brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. They've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. I mean, they're the best, and they've stood the test of the best in tax return preparations, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning, all of this and more. And I know that we work with Lyden Crane, and I'm telling you, these people are very diligent and very helpful. Please, if you're expanding your business or you want to hire more employees or you want to start a partnership or a corporation, they've got the answers to your questions. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company with offices in Burley and Rupert. Right now, here's the lovely Gina with the weather.
As we kick off this work week, looks like Mother Nature is going to be kind for us, at least for the next couple of days, as we have this high-pressure system that's going to be sticking around, bumping up the temperatures just a little bit. For today, partly sunny skies, a little on the breezy side, winds out of the east, right around 10 miles an hour. Just possible as high as 20 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 48. Tonight, more clouds are going to roll in with a low of 32. For tomorrow, partly sunny skies, high of 49, mostly cloudy and 31 for Tuesday night. Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high of 42. And for Thursday, mostly sunny skies and 41. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina, thank you very much. Brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they can help you whether you're in agriculture, manufacturing, food production, whatever your business, whatever your question, they are there to serve you, providing, like I said, accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company with offices in Burley and Rupert. Holy cow, I got time for a phone call or two, so give me a jingle on the landline. Don't forget the State of the Union message tomorrow night. And I chuckled because earlier this morning we were talking about how some of the interviews on television of some of the young people, the millennials, they were led to various questions where they were expanding on what already they thought had taken place with the State of the Union message. So gullible, so naive, and so misinformed. It's going to be tomorrow evening, and yours truly will be glued to the TV set to watch everything that's said and the response. So it should be very interesting. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Want to remind you about our dear, dear friends at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. All the snowmobiles, yep, they got them all. And they've got a great big showroom full of them. And along with all the four-wheelers and the side-by-sides, you open the door to that place and you're going to go, whoa, it's true. This is where the fun is sold. They've got everything, all the accessories. They got a wonderful service department that can keep you running. I don't know what you're waiting for. Stop over today. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. It's true. This is where the fun is sold. Stop over and see them today. Let's see what else have we got on our list to talk about this morning. They're going to vote today. This is really something that makes me upset. There's going to be a vote today as to whether or not to release the Obama memo on surveillance. You know, this is that big memo everybody's talking about that supposedly could maybe land people in jail. Vote? There shouldn't be any question about that. That is the property of the United States of America and its citizenry. We should know. We should know what's going on in our government. There shouldn't be any question about it. That's our information. And it's very self-righteous and very, very enclosed in thinking that they, the politicians, have the right to hold information or to provide us with information. I don't know about you, but I am absolutely incensed that that information, like it was a country, Venezuela or China or wherever, they can hold the information that we need to know about in a free press, in a free America. Oh, You talk about get my blood boiled. I can't wait after this program to call Crapo's office and others and let them know how incensed I am as to anybody trying to hold, cover up, or hide information that the American public has every right to know. And the reason they are having some stupid statement like they're going to vote on whether or not we can read it is because they think the American public is dumbed down to the point where we're not going to do anything or say anything to demand the information that is ours. It's ours. Frustrates me. Don't forget our dear friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more serving you. All you need to do is just, call them at the number 436-4424. And they are so dedicated and responsive to your needs. All you need to do is make that appointment. They can do the rest. They are the real professionals. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. That number again, 436-4424. Next hour, what have we got cooking? Well, let's take a look here. We're going to have Gabrielle Bashi, and I hesitate to say her name because I'm not exactly sure how the pronunciation is. And she's going to be talking about the millennials. She's going to be talking about capitalism versus socialism and why these young kids seem to have their head going towards the left. Even now with our economy on an upswing thanks to capitalism. So we'll talk to her about that. And then, excuse me, I got a little bit of a cold. We're going to talk to Maria Espinoza at 10:30, talking about the DACA Dreamers and why in the world we're seeing all these problems and whether they should be here or not in the entirety. I think every one of them should be deported and come back through legal means. But we're going to have Maria on and talk about that at 10:30. Tomorrow in the first hour, I am going to talk about what Kentucky is doing that I advocated all states should do. 3 years ago on my program, I really advocated that if you want to get Medicaid, you'd better get a job if you're physically abled. And now Kentucky is coming out and calls for a plan where most Medicaid recipients who are not disabled and age 19 to 64, they can work at least 20 hours a week. I am a big advocate of this, and we're going to talk about that in the first hour. Right now, let's send it back over to Wheels. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. Here we go. Hour number 3 on this last Monday of January, the 29th. Good morning, I'm Zeb Bell. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, also some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, helping you get back to being you at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Right now, I'm going to have these good words for Valentine's Day. Hey, listen up, all you lovies out there. The Book Plaza at 220 West 11th Street in Burley. They've got all kinds of unique gift giving for your lovies on Valentine's Day. You know, the greeting cards, the precious moments, the candle sets, the silk flowers, jewelry, everything right there at the Book Plaza, 220 West 11th Street in Burley. And Perkins Restaurant at 800 North Overland in Burley. Special for Valentine's Day, a dinner for 2 for $30. Yep, includes an appetizer and choose from 4 entrees. Oh my goodness, delicious pies. All of this and more for your Valentine's Day at Perkins Restaurant in Burley. And Maury's Steakhouse at 219 East 3rd in Burley. Ho, ho, ho. Take your lovey over there for dinner at Maury's Steakhouse on Valentine's Day, February 14th, Wednesday. And from 4 to 10 p.m., all you can eat prime rib and shrimp grand buffet. Oh, buddy. All of these great businesses are saying to you and your loved one, Happy Valentine's Day. Also, I want to remind you on Thursdays we have a special segment called Cassia County School Days, and our thanks go out to our sponsors, and they include A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. All the clothing and the games and the puzzles and the baby furniture, and of course all the clothing for the babies. I'm telling you, it's a family store serving you at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley, along with Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. The number to call for outpatient surgeries, 677-8888. For your colonoscopies, arthroscopic surgeries on your hands and your knees, 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you school days in Cassia County on Thursdays at 10:10. Let's go right to the phone line right now. And I'm very, very blessed to have this lady. I think it's her first time she's been on my show, and I hope I do not mispronounce her name. I'm going to give it a shot. Here we go. Gabrielle Bashi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
How close was I?
You were 98% close. It's Boucher.
Oh, Boucher. Well, thank you for the other 2% so I can make it right. I apologize for that. Thank you very much. Is it Gabrielle or Gabrielle? I wanted to ask you about that.
It's Gabrielle.
Gabrielle. Okay, now you are the president and CEO of the Millennial Solution. What in the world does that mean?
So I'm the founder of a company called Millennial Solution. We do training and consulting and work with companies of all sizes to help them better understand the millennial generation. So everything from where we buy to how we buy to how to make sure that we don't quit. We really provide the training and the resources for leaders to better understand the next generation.
Okay, now, Gabrielle, let me ask you this. It's not really a question up front. It's kind of a statement. I believe there are many, many, many millennials that are not getting enough credit for going through college, graduating, starting a career, and really being an asset to their various communities. We have many of them right here. Many of them are my sponsors. Many of them I've had on my radio program. But the news media focuses on the negativity of those that are absolutely out in the middle of the street protesting with basically, I'd say, a tin cup philosophy of gimme, 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 and advocating socialism over capitalism. Am I wrong?
You're absolutely not wrong, Zeb. And the truth of the matter is that, yes, the majority of my generation did go to college, and we graduated with about $38,000 in undergrad debt alone. And so because of that, we're coming out and we're looking to get more from our employment opportunities. We want to give back. We want to know that the time and the money that we invested actually matters. But for the most part, the millennial generation isn't that stereotypical, entitled, addicted to technology, which I talk a lot about in my book, 5 Millennial Myths, actually talking about who this generation is and, frankly, what we can contribute to society.
You know, when you say that, I want to really go into this a little deeper. I've been criticized because I've had some of the millennials on our program that are negative, and they say, well, you owe it to us. It's your generation that put us so far in debt, and that's why you owe us a better life. I don't owe anybody anything, Gabrielle, and I've paid my own way, and nobody's given me a silver spoon. Do I have the wrong attitude?
No, you certainly don't. And I think particularly with this generation coming in out of college and into a fairly rocky economic environment. I graduated from college in 2009, which was not exactly the most ideal time to be passing around your resume. So because of that, I think this generation is extremely entrepreneurial. About 67% of my colleagues plan on starting their own company one day. And the companies that we do decide to work for, we're saying, hey, we want to have work-life balance. That's not saying we're entitled to it, but we believe that there's more than just work. We really want to integrate who we are, what we're passionate about, with what we do for a living.
The millennials that I know, and the millennials that have been on my program and those that own businesses are very progressive in the business world, and capitalism has treated them extremely well. Why in the world, with the millennials on the other side of the fence, why are they leaning towards socialism, which would put limits on their abilities and their God-given talents?
It certainly is confusing. So the truth is, like I said, 67% of millennials want to start their own business, but why so many of them support socialist and progressive agendas is because of the higher education institutions that we went through, which basically preached at us saying that, the free market is evil, capitalism is wrong, but never actually explaining to us why we need to have a freer market, better regulations, and lower taxes to be able to create an environment where we can start our own companies, get on Shark Tank, and frankly live the life that we want to live.
Why don't they, and I know I'm being very simplified on this, but why don't they, the millennials that believe they want socialism, why don't they sit down and just look at what's happened in the stock market over the course of the last 3 months? The Dow has hit levels that this country's never seen before. We're seeing the trickle-down effect of employers giving employees benefits and bonuses. We're seeing growth. We're seeing more business come back to the United States. Oh, gee, they're not going to see that with socialism.
Absolutely. Since Trump took office, for example, over 1 million jobs have been added to the economy, and every time you turn on the news and the markets are opening, it's an all-time high. It's an all-time high, and so because of that, there's a really incredible sense of confidence, consumer confidence as well. And so I really think that the responsibility is on the Trump administration to better explain and better make that connection, particularly for millennials who in 2020 will be a majority of the electorate. So if they don't connect to the millennial voter bloc now, help us better understand, again, what those policies mean for us personally, not just more money in our bank account, but more freedom to do what we love, we're going to miss out on this massive generation.
Let me ask you this, Gabrielle, and I'm being very critical because I didn't like the man, but I never did anything or said anything like the news media does against President Trump. I did not like the ideology of Barack Obama. I thought it absolutely was regressive and put us in a hole. Do the millennials see that disgusting negativity that was for 8 years in this country with Obama, or do they kind of relish that and wish it back?
I certainly think that Barack Obama, when he was elected, that was really the first president that millennials really took ownership of. It was the first president that this generation could actually vote for. And so because of that, I think that there's certainly a nostalgia for who he was and what he represented. And currently right now, we've got 39% or so general approval of the president right now across the board. With millennials, it's 25%. So it's certainly not news that young people tend to vote Democrat and tend to support more progressive policies. But again, there needs to be more clarification from employers as well as from the Trump administration, again, about what these policies actually mean for young people.
You mentioned earlier in our conversation about education, college education, high school, etc. And I am very much aware of the negativity that's going on within our high schools and our higher institutions of education, our colleges and universities. How are we going to change that? How are we going to get professors to be at least fair and unbiased and give an approach to teaching where it could be either very, let's say, conservative or liberal, to let the students decide which way to go?
It really comes down to accountability of how are we going to keep our educators and, frankly, our leaders accountable for, and our media, for that matter, accountable for the information that they're sharing with us. We live in an information-saturated society. But what we're missing really is that wisdom, that perspective, and, frankly, that context. And that's what I think is so important for the next generation to embrace, is learning from those who are older than us rather than sitting in an echo chamber of progressive policies and socialist agendas where we don't actually understand the implications of what a better tax structure or lower regulations mean. Because, the oldest millennial is 37 years old. We're not 19 and 20 years old anymore. But we haven't lived long enough to really understand what a strong economy is because we have never really experienced it. So, again, we've got to better communicate, better explain, and frankly use phrases that millennials better understand rather than kind of using our buzzwords or our go-to phrases. We've got to start using stories. We've got to start using media in a more rich and more authentic way. And frankly, we've got to start listening to the millennials more and better understanding what's important to them.
Okay, now when you say listening to the millennials more, I'm listening to you, so you tell me, how would you convince them if you were standing up in front of, let's say, 500 or 1,000 millennials that are bent on socialism, what would you tell them?
Yeah, it's a simple numbers game. It's really better understanding that when you have more freedom to do what you love, you actually have that ability and, frankly, that permission to do so. Millennials have been told what to do our entire lives. Essentially, we've been told that we can do anything that we want and be anything that we want from a really young age. And now we're moving into adulthood, starting families, starting our careers, and many of us are still waiting for that permission. And so what I would say is that millennials, now that we are young adults, we do have that career underneath our belt, that we need to take control of our life, take control of our finances, and take control of our decision-making. And that is where that connection comes in with a more free market agenda, where we can explain that the freer the market, the more ability you have to make decisions for yourself, the happier, the wealthier, and the more productive you're going to be.
You know, Gabrielle, I think you'll agree with me that, and again, the news media, I think in some cases, has portrayed millennials as being wussies. I'm going to be really honest with you that, we have to go get a llama to pet because somebody came on our campus last week that was a conservative speaker. We can't handle this. Why can't they stand up and be young men and women and have convictions instead of running around and hiding behind trees?
Well, it certainly isn't helping us having safe spaces on university campus like UC Berkeley and Stanford. And this generation, you have to keep in mind how we were raised. Many of us were not allowed to fail. We are that trophy generation who was given trophies by our parents or by our coaches, who are very well-intentioned and wanted to encourage us. But unfortunately, as millennials are now hitting adulthood, we're seeing some very clear negative effects of what some would consider coddling or being kind of overly sensitive, as well as some of the negative effects of the anti-bullying campaigns that we were exposed to when we were younger. Certainly we're not for bullying, but because of that, we've had kind of an oversensitivity boost that has caused many of us to not want to do anything for fear of offending someone else or being offended ourselves. But unfortunately, you can't ever be freed from or protected from being offended. That's certainly part of life, but you have to take control over your emotions, take control over who offends you or what's hurtful to you, etc. So it's certainly important for my generation to step up now that we are, again, young adults, starting families, starting companies. If we want to be treated like adults, I certainly think my generation needs to start acting like one.
Wow. And Wheels over at the station, I'm getting a little feedback here. Ride that gain a little bit, would you please? Gabrielle, would you agree, and I'm pursuing this point a little bit deeper right now, would you agree that there is a fear, and I don't know why they ascribe to this fear, of conservative values? Why are they so afraid of just sitting and listening to somebody?
I wouldn't say that millennials are afraid of listening to others. In fact, in my 11 years of researching my generation and what motivates us, mentorship and learning from others with different perspectives is actually a really high priority for millennials. What we found is many young people actually don't know how to approach those of other generations or other perspectives because they haven't necessarily had that kind of exposure. But when it comes to conservative principles, what we've actually found in polling is even the term conservative is negative for millennials because of, frankly, just the negative stigma around that word. And so, again, we have to really win the phrase war, where progressive Democrats, it's not, Democrat or liberal, it's more progressive. They've rephrased what they've been saying all along. And it's time for, frankly, the conservative movement to do the same.
But I think you would agree it's pretty hard to give credence to the millennial generation as a whole when you read about Berkeley and other college campuses where there's burning and destruction and hatred because somebody wants to come on the campus, whether it's Laura Ingraham or whomever, and have a conservative speech.
I think that there's certainly a challenge, and those are the outliers. Those are the things that make news because they're flashy, they're crazy, they're outside of the norm. And so that's really where the eyes go. But what I see is speaking on college campuses across the country and, frankly, working with young professionals in their 20s and their 30s on a daily basis, what we find is that many young people are incredibly logical. They just want to live a better life. They want to have fun with their friends. They want to start a family. They want to be happy. They're not overly sensitive, and they're not waiting for someone to trigger them. So I certainly think that this generation is really poised for greatness. We're the largest generation that's ever existed. And so as we transition from young adulthood into positions of leadership, I think this generation really has a mantle of something that could be incredibly excellent. But again, we have to get to them now that they're young, and they're really formative years to better help them understand, again, what a freer market means for them.
Okay, now tell me a little bit about your book, the title and where it can be found and purchased, etc.
You bet. So my top two books are both Amazon bestsellers. We've got 5 Millennial Myths and The Millennial Entrepreneur. You can find both of them on Amazon.com or on our website, millennialsolution.com.
When the people buy your books and read your books and they close the cover at the last chapter, what do you want them to take away from those books?
Really, our big takeaways, and whether it's anyone who's reading our books or attending any of our trainings or bringing us in to do executive briefs for them and their team, we really want them to come away with a perspective not only of what leaders can do to reach millennials, but what millennials can do as well. Because we really believe that it's a two-way street. It's not all about what older generations can do to appease the millennial generation. My generation needs to step up and better understand how to reach and relate to other generations as well. So we take an incredibly comprehensive approach to making sure that we can all work better together.
This is a speculative type question because I know you can't answer this for the millennial generation, but it's just kind of speculating on your part. If you were to sit there and have control over all the millennials today, would you tell them definitely to take the time and really watch and understand the State of the Union message tomorrow night?
Absolutely. I think it's going to be incredibly important. And I would encourage them to listen to it for what it is, not for what it's going to be spun into. Listen to it for the words and not the policies, not the politics, but really what the policies have meant for them in their future.
You know, would you agree with me, maybe because of an age disparity here, I'm a lot older, I'm an old man, but I absolutely, in the last 12 months, regardless of Trump's personality, regardless of what he's done in the past, just forget all that, and I'm just talking about ideology and also the concepts that have been very successful. What are your thoughts? I'm really optimistic about America. I think there's great days ahead.
Absolutely, and millennials actually share that as well. And in a recent Pew poll, we actually found that millennials are the most optimistic generation within the last 4 generations. We're a generation who is extremely excited about the future, really feels that together as a generation we can do so much to give back to each other as well as to give back to the world. So I certainly think it's extremely exciting that the times and the seasons that we're living in right now, and certainly as the Trump policies start to get enacted and really felt, I think that this generation is going to experience wealth that they haven't before.
Let me ask you this question now. You said you're a millennial and you're writing about millennials. You got 2 great books out that have been bestsellers. What are you going to do when maybe you supersede that age bracket? Are you going to continue writing books, or what's the future look like for you?
Now you're starting to sound like my dad. He's like, what are you going to do when you grow up, Gabrielle? So I'm 29, and we'll always be millennials. The millennial trends are going to continue to grow, and we're extremely excited to be looking at who the next generation is coming up, Generation Z, born after 2001. But as millennials come into leadership positions, it's certainly going to be important for us to better understand and better articulate to the other generations, again, who this generation is, how we lead, what motivates us, because it's going to shift and change, just like it did with Generation X, just like it did with the baby boomers. So it's certainly going to continue to be of utmost importance to better understand this generation as we grow older.
I'll take that as a compliment that I sounded like your dad, but now if you were to go home tomorrow morning and visit with your dad, does he sound a lot like me with the questions and everything and your answers, or do you have some really hot discussions?
Well, certainly, and I share that with plenty of Generation X and baby boomers who are extremely curious about who this next generation is. And I think part of it is curiosity, part of it may be frustration and maybe a little bit of fear, but we get extreme excitement and fulfillment from helping other generations, especially parents, better understand their children.
You go home or you call your dad and tell him you talked to another old fogey on the radio this morning.
I will will make sure to do that, my friend.
Okay, now I'm going to say your name, and I'm going to get it right this time, or you correct me. Gabrielle Boucher, right?
You got it.
All right. Good luck with your book. Thank you for coming on my program.
Thank you, sir.
God bless. Thank you very, very much. Very nice, very articulate young lady there, and I appreciate her being on the show this morning. And the latest book, The 5 Millennial Myths, and I wish her a lot of luck. Oh, let's see, what else have I got here real quick that I've got to take care of? Oh, Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. My. A mixed animal practice, meaning big or small. They love them and take care of them all. Absolutely. A couple of things I want to remind you of. If you've got a new little puppy at home, boy, don't forget to get the current pyro vaccines. Very, very important. And the next month of February is teeth cleaning month at Ark Animal Hospital. And in the month of February, you can make an appointment now. You get 20% off on your dog's teeth cleaning. Woo! Nothing worse than puppy breath. Well, don't forget Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Number to call, 678-1177, and it's true. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Next half hour, we're going to have Maria Espinoza talking about DACA and the Dreamers and the possible amnesty given to them and all the repercussions. Maria's absolutely excellent. Looking forward to having her on the program. And tomorrow on the show, I want to just give you a quick shout out. Dr. History will not be on tomorrow, but he'll be back again next week. Next week, we'll have Dr. History back. And at 9:30 tomorrow, of course, we've got the great legislative update at 9:30 brought to you by Handy Truck Lines. And tomorrow we're expecting Speaker of the House Scott Bedke. Right now, let's send it back over to our main studios, and we'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much and welcome back. And right now, I also want to remind you, I'll do that a little later. I want to get right to this lady that I've kept waiting on the line a few moments. And she's been on our program numerous times in the past. The last time that we talked to her, I believe she was in Washington, D.C. Maria Espinoza, how are you this morning? Give us a little story about what happened the last time we had you on the program and you were on the cell phone saying, Zeb, I got to go right now.
Oh, Zeb. Hi. Well, now I'm in Texas, so I'm just stopping off in Austin, and I'm going to meet with the Attorney General Ken Paxton over there about the lawsuit that Texas has going over their SB4 anti-sanctuary city laws. But hey, listen, there's a lot going on right now in Washington, D.C., and, we are asking all your listeners and all good Americans who love this country and stand for the rule of law and over lawlessness to continue calling your elected officials and the GOP leadership and telling them absolutely no DACA, no dealings with illegal aliens. It's very important right now that we, as Americans, stand for saving the lives of innocent Americans going forward.
Maria, I saw many of the young people that were protesting, swearing, making filthy gestures, and blocking the entrance to Disneyland, and I have no sympathy. I have no warm spot in my heart for the DACA dreamers. I think they ought to look at them on a case-by-case basis, and if any of them have been involved in the demands and the filthy response to our government, I think they should be put on a raft and shipped out of this country. I don't want these people as citizens, and I'm not going to change my mind on this.
Absolutely, Zeb, and thank you for saying that, because we're not a third world country. We have enough crime and, bad actors in our own country and citizens. Why are we importing and allowing illegal aliens to remain here? And I strongly still stand by the fact that every single illegal alien, DACA recipient or not, however you want to spin it, whatever label these elected officials want to slap on it, they have to return to their country of origin and apply, just like the rest of the legal immigrants who are abiding by the laws, and respect our nation and respect us as citizens. They need to return and apply the right way. Plus, there are things that they have to go through the process that with their country in order to apply to come to the United States. So thank you for saying that, and we have to absolutely stand by the rule of law here.
You know, why is it that we can't support the rule of law? And when we do, like in my case, I'm called a bigot and a hate monger and an unknowledgeable person. Well, wait a minute, I'm not unknowledgeable. At first we were told 800,000, then it went to 1.3 million, and now it's up to where it might be 3.6 million so-called dreamers coming in on an amnesty program of citizenship. We've got a lot of people in this country that need help far more than them, and I don't like the way they're stepping in, demanding, and trying to take over.
Absolutely, and shame for our elected officials to even let them to sit on the negotiating table. And I've heard over 4 million. Then we're talking about 11 million. And then we're saying how many illegal aliens are in the country? What, 20, 25 million, and even more? Who knows? But if we cut off the magnet, do not hire them, get them off our social benefits. That has to be reserved for the elderly who put in their entire lives, working hard, tax-paying citizens, raising a family, and for our veterans who put their lives on the line, and for those who did not make it through our wars or through being on different soil and protecting Americans. This is where we have to place our sympathy and empathy. And what about the 500,000 orphans out there, Americans who need to be taken care of? That's the priority of these elected officials, and shame on every one of them who does not have an America First agenda as their priority, Zeb.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else, Maria, and I'd like you to comment on a little bit. We are being duped as an American public by a very liberalized news media. Oh, well, these are rocket scientists. Oh, these are kids that are just going to be all great business owners. Wait a minute. Many of them are felons. Many of them never graduated from high school. Many are gang members. Let's call it what it really is.
Absolutely. You're right. And I'm going back right to the elected officials, Zeb, because we all know that every single one of them or their parents broke the law, and that's not what we want here. And many of the DACA recipients the average age is 24. They're up to 36 years old. And why haven't they gotten right with American people and our laws? I go back to the elected officials because for decades they've done us so wrong. And they think that we're not watching. They think that they're going to wear us down, and they think that we don't have a voice. Well, we need to prosecute them, Zeb, under Title 8, Section 1324, and it's right there laid out in the U.S. Code, and we need to utilize it. As you know, it's going to take dragging them, whomever, the U.S. Attorney's offices, call the DOJ. It's going to take the average person to activate and demand that we keep America the greatest country on this earth, and we are one nation under God, Zeb. So I encourage your listeners to sign up. Our petition also is still going on our website, www.remembranceproject.org. We put out a video, again, asking for President Donald Trump to stand strong, and I ask all your listeners to help President Trump keep all of his campaign promises.
Well, let me ask you this. When it comes to the Democrats with Schumer and the rest of them, basically all they're doing is pandering for votes in the future for their Democratic liberalness. And then Donald Trump, the caving. I mean, come on. What's going on here, Maria? He wants the money for the wall, $128 billion or $28 billion, whatever the case might be, in exchange for possibly giving amnesty. No. Wait a minute. Let's do what's right. Let's build the wall, get everybody out of here, and if they want to reapply to come in for citizenship, let's do it the right way.
I absolutely agree, and that's a very small percentage if you're going to measure it as a population of the United States. But again, supposedly it will cost American people $26 billion to process these DACA individuals, and 13 to 25, whatever, you're right, $1 billion to build a wall. And that's a no-brainer, Zeb. You know, plus it costs the cost of each state. What does the illegal alien cost the United States as a whole? You know, hundreds of billions of dollars in just a few years, and we cannot afford to not build that wall. Also, you know, we're looking at Governor Cuomo. He mentioned that he's going to give free education to all DACA recipients.
Well, you know, that really...
Outrageous. This is outrageous. My daughter is still paying her student loans.
Yeah.
And how can New York, as taxed as the New Yorkers are, afford to pay for college for illegal aliens? This is absurd.
You know, and you're talking about a subject right there that just makes me so furious. I'm an old man, and my son and my daughter, they had athletic scholarships to go to college, which God bless them, they worked hard for, and they graduated. They both have got great careers, and I'm extremely proud of them. But why in the world should we all of a sudden just hand a carte blanche check to the illegals in our country that you and me and every taxpayer has to fund? There's plenty of American citizens that wish they had the same amenities that we're giving away to illegal citizens.
Absolutely, and you know, that has to be cut up. And another, I'll say it right now, we're doing another initiative here. We've got some young students, you know, coming up, these America First students who will be looking at the funds, taxpayer dollars, that go to anti-American efforts. And this is outrageous that the taxpayers are forced to pay to really our own demise. We're funding our own demise, and these elected officials who allow this need to be held accountable, like the appropriations chair of John Culberson, who is my representative.
Right.
There's a lot wrong with our country, Zeb, and I want to thank you again for helping bring this to the attention of listeners and being a platform, providing a platform for the Remembrance Project and our angel families and every patriot out there.
One last thought, Maria, and then I'll let you go. If you and your family were trying to get into Disneyland last week to have a nice holiday vacation, to visit with the kids and have fun with the kids, and some of these filthy dreamers standing there gesticulating with all their gestures and their swearing and blocking the entrance, how would you have handled that?
I think I would have called ICE and tell them to deport them, those who are not legally authorized to be in this country. And I think also, Zeb, what is happening is that I'm getting some feedback from Democrats who say, I've had it. I don't agree with these illegal aliens, that I might have been okay with having the good ones remain. But you know what? I'm done with them. I'm done being made a fool of. And I see now that you're right, Maria, that we do have to enforce existing laws and not give people who snuck into the country and have plenty of time to get right with us, don't give them a pass. So that's what we're seeing. I think that there's a huge backlash going to be taking place right now.
I think you'd agree with me that we see the liberals, the Democrats, the Schumers, they're doing it for insidious purposes to get more votes. But then on the other side, we're seeing absolute cowardice by the Republicans because they won't do a doggone thing.
You're right, and they are cowards, are unwilling to stand for Americans right here in our own country. And that's a shame. And they need to be elected out. They need to be elected out. We need good patriots standing up to be supported and say, yes, I will go ahead and serve my country in this manner. And I encourage good candidates to step forward.
Absolutely. Maria Espinoza, National Director of the RemembranceProject.org, always welcome on my program. God bless you, Maria, and come back soon.
God bless you, Zeb, and keep up the fight.
All right, thank you very much. I like that lady. She's very straightforward. You know, I've got a picture here, and I'm not even going to describe what the picture is. I'm just going to kind of give you a wide scope of it. But there are the dreamers, the DACA so-called wonder boys and girls. at a protest with signs, and you would not believe what some of these creeps are doing in the photograph, and then they're demanding with their placards and their signs, demanding citizenship. I mean, the gestures and everything. Come on. No. Off. Out of here. I am sick and tired of being forced into immigration numbers and people that are not worthy of becoming United States citizens. If you're mad, that's your problem. Scarrow's Meats. They're going to bring us the weather right now at 331 North Road, Jerome. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew. Oh, delicious meats, all the different breakfast sausages, and the different kinds of bacon, and the bratwurst. Oh, I love bratwurst. And, of course, smoked hams and the marinated prime ribs. Oh, I'm just drooling. It's so good. Their telephone number is 324-7657, and they're located at 331 North Road, Jerome, or you can go to their website. Excuse me. ScarrowsMeats.com. Oh, yeah, but it's good. Delicious. Scarrow's Meats. We'll be back right after Gina gives us the weather.
As we kick off this work week, looks like Mother Nature is going to be kind for us, at least for the next couple of days, as we have this high-pressure system that's going to be sticking around, bumping up the temperatures just a little bit. For today, partly sunny skies, a little on the breezy side, winds out of the east, right around 10 miles an hour, just possible as high as 20 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 48. Tonight, more clouds going to roll in with a low of 32. For tomorrow, partly sunny skies, high of 49, mostly cloudy and 31 for Tuesday night. Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high of 42. And for Thursday, mostly sunny skies and 41. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. Scarrow's Meats, Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. You get a hold of them today because they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Delicious. You know what? I would really appreciate it if you give me a call. I'd love to hear from you about any and all of the subjects that we've talked about here this morning. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Something special that's going to be going on next week, and I don't want you to miss this. Brian Scott, Dan King, and Todd Lovelace, financial advisors with Waddell & Reed in Twin Falls. Listen, they're going to have a booth this coming weekend at Agra Action at the CSI Expo Center. And after it's over, they're going to be meeting and greeting you and talking all about different things, financial planning, retirement planning, investment planning, etc. Well, then next Tuesday night on February 6th at 6:30 at their office, they're going to have a really interesting farm and ranch succession planning, and I urge you to be there. It's a free educational seminar on farm and ranch succession planning, and it's going to be Tuesday, February 6th at 6:30 p.m. at their office, Waddell & Reed office in Twin Falls at 1146 Eastland Drive North. Now, RSVP. I'm going to give you the number, and I hope you can attend. It's going to be very, very informative. The number is 732-7695. I'll say it again, 732-7695. Don't miss this at Waddell & Reed next Tuesday night at 6:30, located at 1146 Eastland Drive North. Really good. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Like to hear from you. Tomorrow morning, again, I want to emphasize that in the first hour, I'm going to take a little survey, and we're going to talk about Medicaid and how Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin, I salute him, and I think he's doing the right thing, that he is celebrating the approval of I think the most transformational entitlement reform that's ever been done. Kentucky's leading the way on a plan that calls for Medicaid recipients who are not disabled and aged 19 to 64 to must work at least 20 hours a week in order to get the money. I think this is fantastic. We're going to talk about that tomorrow morning in the first hour, so give us a call. Right now, it's open forum for anyone to call in and give us your opinion on whatever this morning. So give us a jingle on the landline. And while I'm waiting for your call, I also want to mention that Marion Wickham sent us another notice that the Rupert United Methodist Church is going to be celebrating their Ash Wednesday service at 6:30 p.m. Wednesday, February 14th at Rupert United Methodist Church, and that's at 605 8th Street. The community is invited, and it's always in preparation for Easter, so keep that in mind. Oh, boy. Let's see what else. I had another note here, and here it is. It's in regards to the Valentine's dinner at the Minidoka County Senior Center. That dinner is going to be on February 10th at 6 p.m., and it's $18 per ticket. And you get your choice of whether you want steak or whether you want salmon. And they're only going to have about 75 advance tickets to be sold. No tickets will be sold at the door. So if you go up to the door and say, I want to come in, sorry, Charlie. And the number to call for tickets is 436-9107. 436-9107. Valentine's dinner at the Minidoka County Senior Center on February the 10th. All right, your turn. Give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There was another little story in the newspaper this weekend, and I took great offense at this. I know personally a lot of the legislators that work and represent us in the various districts. I am very good friends with many of them. I hold them and what they do for the community and for their job as a legislator in high regard. And the Times News, the last couple of Sundays, has had editorial comments in their opinion page which seems to lump all legislators together in a very negative fashion. And quite frankly, I'm offended by that. And I think that tomorrow on Legislative Update, I'm going to have Speaker of the House Scott Bedke on the program. We're going to talk about lots of issues. But one of the things is you're going to have in every circumstance, I don't care what it is, it could be a baseball team, it could be a 4-H club, it could be a city council. You're always going to have, unfortunately, certain bad actors that when they're heard about, then it throws a kind of disparity on the rest of the organization or group. And that happens in any group. But to lump all of our legislators together and say the capital culture must change in Idaho and kind of say that all of them are basically involved, there was in the article, there was kind of a movement that basically lumped them all together, and I don't like that. These are, in my opinion, Representative Fred Woods, excellent gentleman that has done so much to help us in this area. Senator Kelly Anthon, I tell you, that is one of the finest individuals I've ever been around and has done so much work, not only to help me and others in this area, but to help the state of Idaho. Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke, very, very diligent, very caring, and does a lot to educate himself on what's happening up there in the State House. All of these, and many, many more around the area in various districts. I don't think it's fair to lump them all together in a kind of a season of negativity. I don't like that. And the Times News needs to change their ways. I want to say thank you very much to our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all 7 locations serving you with the absolute very best of winter traction tires. Yeah, we're going to get hit again. This little warm snap is going to snap all right, and we're going to probably have a lot more winter before it's over. Check out all the traction tires for your car, your pickup, your SUVs, and don't forget they've got all the tire chains. Don't forget that they've got the very best in brake service. front-end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. A lot of us overlook the batteries. Don't do that, because you better go in and have your battery tested, and then maybe if you need a new one, they've got the very best right there at all 7 locations. Doing the right thing matters, and your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers do the right things. Don't forget to see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. They are the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Once again, tomorrow, on the program, at 9:30, the legislative update brought to you by Handy Truck Lines. Thank you, Clay, and the rest of the group. We're going to have Megan Barth on the program tomorrow, one of my favorite guests. She really tells it like it is. And Curtis Ellis. He knows and has worked with Donald Trump on numerous occasions. He's going to be on the program. It's going to be a great program tomorrow. But like I said in the first hour, I want to get your opinion about having to work, if you're able-bodied, to receive Medicaid. We're going to talk about that in the first hour. 8:06 tomorrow morning, we'll saddle the horse and ride for 3 hours right here on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m., and then streaming live on the internet, ZebBell.com. And we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be. Wheels, take it away.